Mangwanani Malelepo Vukenjani Kleklaswanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Bedi. These are some of the stories that we're looking at today. Johan Rupert overtakes Dangote to become Africa's richest man. DRC prosecutors seek the death penalty for 50 defendants after coup attempt. And world's police in technological arms race with the Nigerian mafia. DSTV 285, GoTV 25, oneup2.com is precisely where you can find us. We'll also be talking to talent Gore as she brings us the latest news stories from Zimbabwe. Stay with Africa Good Morning as we head into the top stories shortly.
Entries are now open for the second round of Republicane's Bridal Couple of the Year competition. Couples married between 1 June and 31 August have until 30 September of this year to enter the second round of the competition. Another one of the top 10 couples will be chosen from this pool to participate in the final taking place in May 2025. To better your chance of reaching the final, enter now. To enter, simply WhatsApp #bridal2025 to 085 785 6231 and follow the on-screen instructions or scan this QR code.
All right, let's get into the top stories on Africa. Good morning. South African luxury goods magnate Johan Rupert has become Africa's wealthiest person, overtaking Nigeria's Aliko Dangote, who previously held the top position. Rupert, 74, controls the world's largest luxury watchmaker, Claire Francier Richemont, through a family trust. Now, this Switzerland-based company owns prestigious brands like Jaeger LeCoultre and Cartier. According to the latest figures from the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, Rupert's net worth has climbed to $14.3 billion, pushing him ahead of Dangote, whose fortune has dropped to $13.4 billion. Dangote, who heads the Dangote Group, has seen his wealth shrink by about $1.69 billion this year. The decline is largely attributed to the difficult economic conditions in Nigeria, which have significantly affected his business empire. Now, Dangote's wealth is largely tied to his 86% stake in Dangote Cement, which is publicly traded. His investments also include stakes in Dangote Sugar, Nascon Allied Industries, and United Bank of Africa, as well as interests in food manufacturing, fertilizer production, oil, and the Dangote refinery in Lagos. In the rankings, South African billionaire Nicky Oppenheimer comes in third with a net worth of $11.3 billion, followed by Egyptian businessman Nassef Sawaris with $9.37 billion, while South African investor Nate Kirsch is fifth with $9.14 billion. Now, prosecutors in the Democratic Republic of Congo are calling for 50 defendants, including 3 Americans, to face the death penalty over what the army says was a coup attempt in May. Military prosecutor Lieutenant Colonel Innocent Rajabu urged the judges to sentence to death all those on trial, barring one defendant. The trial began on 7 June in Ndolo Military Prison, where all the defendants are being held. The charges include attack, terrorism, illegal possession of weapons and munitions of war, attempted assassination, criminal association, murder, financing of terrorism, according to a court document. Armed men attacked the home of Economy Minister Vital Kamerhe, who was elected head of National Assembly 3 days later. In the early hours of 19 May, the group then went to the Palais de la Nation that houses President Felix Tshisekedi's offices, brandishing flags of Zaire, the country's name, under ex-dictator Mobutu Sese Seko, who was overthrown in 1997. Now, shots were heard near the building, several sources said at the time. An army spokesperson later announced on national television that defense and security forces had stopped an attempted coup d'etat. The alleged plot was led by Christian Malanga, a Congolese man who was a naturalized American and who was killed by security forces. Army spokesperson General Sylvain Ekenge has said during the questioning, the defendants arrested near Palais de la Nation blamed Malanga. Now, Tanzanian authorities have initiated an investigation following the widespread circulation of a video allegedly showing a gang rape, which has sparked nationwide outrage. Local media have reported that arrests have already been made. The disturbing footage featuring a young woman assaulted by multiple men began to surface online on Sunday. Human rights organizations have been calling for swift action from the authorities. In a statement, the police confirmed that their investigation is progressing well, but did not confirm any arrests. They assured the public that more detailed information would be released once the legal process was complete, and urged everyone to remain calm. Authorities also requested the public to be cautious about sharing content online, emphasizing the importance of protecting the victim and her family from further harm. According to reports, Home Affairs Minister Hamad Massauni confirmed that some suspects have been apprehended but did not provide specific details. The incident was first brought to the public's attention by Boniface Jacob, the former mayor of Ubungo district in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, on August 4 via a post on social media platform X. Jacob mentioned that the assault took place in another area in Dar es Salaam and alleged that the perpetrators might be linked to the Tanzanian military, though this has not been verified. Now, in our fourth story, a vessel suspected by the Namibian authorities to be carrying military cargo intended for Israeli use in the ongoing war in Gaza has been blocked from docking in the southern African country. Namibian Justice Minister Yvonne Dausab told state media the ship was stopped because it had explosive material destined for Israel. The MV Katria, which set off from Vietnam, had requested permission to dock in the port of Walvis Bay before sailing north on a suspected route towards the Mediterranean via the Strait of Gibraltar. Now, rights groups had warned that Namibia could have been implicated in potential human rights violations had it allowed the vessel to dock. It is not known why the ship wanted to dock, but vessels on long journeys tend to stop for supplies, respite, or to offload or take on cargo. Last December, Namibia's neighbor and ally South Africa launched an ongoing case at the International Court of Justice alleging Israel is committing genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. Israel rejects the allegation of genocide as baseless. The MV Catherine, which was set to dock at Walvis Bay on Monday from Vietnam, was stopped by Namibia's support for the Palestinian people and the country's call for an end to the violence in Gaza. Dausab told the state-run New Era News website. Citing a police investigation, Dausab said the vessel was indeed carrying explosive material destined for Israel and was therefore prohibited from entering Namibian waters. Namport had said it recently allowed another vessel carrying dangerous cargo to pass through Namibian waters, but not to dock. In the last of our top stories, the UN World Food Programme is investigating two of its top officials in Sudan over allegations including fraud and concealing information from donors about its ability to deliver food aid to civilians amid the nation's dire hunger crisis, according to 11 people with knowledge of the probe. The investigation by the WFP's Office of the Inspector General comes as the UN's food aid arm is struggling to feed millions of people in war-plagued Sudan, now suffering one of the world's most severe food shortages in years. Those have been our top stories on Africa. Good morning. After the break, we're going to be talking to talent Gore as she brings us the news stories from Zimbabwe. Stay with us.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
All right, it's time for us to talk to Talent Gore as she brings us the news stories from Zimbabwe. Talent Wamkase.
Wamkase Africa.
Tamuka Hedu. Now, Czech and Ugandan tourists detained since August the 2nd have been acquitted by a local Zimbabwean court.
Yes, a Czech citizen and travel blogger who was detained in Zimbabwe for 23 days after recording a video stating that there was no electricity and water at his hotel in Masvingo was deported on Saturday. Lucas Slavic was initially accused of publishing falsehood, a law that has been removed from Zimbabwe's statutes. The charges were later changed to criminal nuisance, but a magistrate acquitted him after a brief trial. The second man, Slavik Tom Sekama of Uganda, was also acquitted on the same charge after the police had said that they had found a sex toy inside a bag in his hotel room. But the Masvingo magistrate ruled that possession of an artificial penis could not compromise the public or cause any nuisance to the public, as he was not going to use that in public but rather in private. So the two men have been acquitted, and one of them has already been deported. Who was the Czech tourist has already been deported. So right now the Ugandan is in the hands of his lawyers, and will soon go back to his country. So all charges have been dropped, and they were both acquitted.
All right, talent. Now, in a rather saddening update, 10 Zimbabweans killed in a South Africa bus accident.
Yes, 10 Zimbabweans have died just outside Makando, which is in Louis Trichardt in South Africa, after a cross-border bus that they were traveling in overran a traffic circle, resulting in the driver losing control of the vehicle, which they overturned. The deceased consisted of 5 males and 5 females. The Limpopo Transport and Community Safety Department said that the bus, which was en route to Johannesburg, was coming from South Africa, and they said that the driver of the bus was actually new, and he didn't know the road in which he was traveling in, which then led to him overturning and that accident happening. So he was actually new to the job. It was his first time traveling to South Africa, and was not familiar with that particular road. So the deceased and those who have been injured, they were taken to different hospitals in South Africa.
Thank you for that update, talent. We'll certainly be listening in for any other updates on that story as time goes on. Now, ZESA has turned to battery storage in order to beat power cuts.
Yes, ZESA is the utility power company in Zimbabwe, and the executive chairman has said that they are now moving to install a utility scale battery energy storage system to minimize power cuts being experienced in the country. Apparently, ZESA has said that the Wange Power Station Unit 8 experienced was experiencing some problems which are leading to the current power cuts which we are experiencing right now. As of now, Zimbabwe is experiencing bad power cuts. You find out that we go for hours, 12 plus hours without electricity, and it will only come back during the midnight. So the power company has said that they are now working towards installing those battery energy to ensure that they alleviate the power shortages that are currently being experienced in the country. So we are just going to be monitoring the situation to see if they are going to start using those batteries soon, and to see if the power shortages that we are currently experiencing are going to improve once they start using those battery storage utilities. So right now, they say this on Monday, but as of now, we're still experiencing power shortages.
All right, talent. Thank you for bringing us the news stories from Zimbabwe. You know, I ran into an interesting fact from a seminar which was happening in Harare this week. Do you know that along Borodale Road and Enterprise Road, between 6 and 8 a.m. on each of these roads, there's a minimum of 20,000 cars?
Yes, it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting, to be honest. So I'll get more into the story on Monday.
Yeah, that would be so interesting. Of course, I did experience the traffic for myself in Zimbabwe, and my patience was fortified. Thank you very much for bringing us the news stories.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
It's always good having you on Africa. Good morning. Let's have a look at the weather predictions before we return with economic news. Let's get into the economic news stories. Elon Musk's satellite internet company Starlink has started operating in Botswana after receiving regulatory approval. The development follows months of speculation over Starlink's application and assessments done by the Botswana Communications Regulatory Authority. In May, President Mokgweetsi Masisi met with Starlink executives in Dallas, USA, and later announced that he wanted a fast tracking of their license to operate in the country. On its website, Starlink had indicated it expected to land in Botswana in the third quarter of the year. Now, information reaching Meri shows the company is already marketing its services to local ISPs and individuals. Starlink, which boasts some of the fastest internet speeds in the world, is expected to give a competitive alternative to terrestrial or ground-based internet service players in Botswana. Now, President Filipe Nyusi advocated for increased economic relations with Zimbabwe and Mozambique to create opportunities for prosperity for both countries and neighboring peoples. Nyusi was speaking at the opening of the Zimbabwe Agriculture Fair, which started yesterday in Harare, the capital of Zimbabwe. Mozambique and Zimbabwe have the potential to intensify economic and trade ties for the prosperity of both countries and peoples, the Mozambican head of state said. Filipe Nyusi said he considered current levels of bilateral economic cooperation insufficient given the plentiful natural resources that both nations enjoy. In the last 5 years, Mozambique has exported to Zimbabwe goods and services worth $890 million and imported the equivalent of 160 million. Filipe Nyusi said Mozambique's exports to Zimbabwe have consisted chiefly of energy, petroleum products, fertilizers, and aluminum cables. Nyusi said that Mozambique was focused on attracting foreign investment and creating a macroeconomic environment favorable to business. Mozambique is growing economically towards sustainable development, President Nyusi emphasized. Let's have a look at the economic indicators just before Ari Hochad brings us the sport.
Good day, everyone. Time for international sports news, and starting off with US Open tennis first. It's from Flushing Meadows in New York. News from the tournament in the first round is that number 1 seed Yannick Sinner of Italy safely through to the second round, beating Michael McDonald of the USA in 3 sets. Then it was quite a long game for Dan Evans and Karen Khachanov. They played the longest game ever recorded on the men's side of the US Open. They played 5 hours and 35 minutes. It was Dan Evans that won in the end in 5 sets, 6-7, 7-6, 7-6, and then also 4-6 and 6-4 to advance to the second round. Number 3 seed in the men's division, Carlos Alcaraz, also in action. He was in the final of the Olympic Games quite recently. He beat Lee Tan of Australia by 6-2, 4-6, 6-3 and 6-1, also through to the second round. On the women's side of the draw, it is local favourite Jessica Pegula. She played against countrywoman Shelby Rogers, and it is Jessica Pegula winning 6-4, 6-3. And then it is a good result for Sonia Kinnan. She beat Emma Raducanu, the 2021 champion from Great Britain. She beat her in 3 sets to advance to the second round. Then lastly, also a former major winner, it is Naomi Osaka of Japan. She beat the 10th seeded Yelena Ostapenko by 6-3 and 6-3. On to cricket news. Another good result for the South African side. They're playing in the West Indies. It was the third and the last T20 game. The West Indies winning the series by 3-0. South Africa batting first. Rain-interrupted game, 108 for 4 in 13 overs. Then with Duckworth and Lewis, West Indies need to score 116. They did it for the loss of 2 wickets with 22 balls to spare, winning the 3-game series 3-0. On to motor racing news, the Formula 1 Grand Prix. It will be the Italian Grand Prix this coming weekend. And the news from the Williams team is that they've replaced Logan Sargent. He's from the United States. He will not race for the Williams team the rest of the season. He's replaced by the academy driver, that is Franco Colapinto. And it is in 2025, it will be Carlos Sainz of Ferrari that will join Alex Albon as the 2 drivers for Williams. And to close off today's international sports news, it is cycling news. It's the Vuelta de España that's taking place at the moment. It was stage 10. It was over 160 kilometers. The winner of stage 10 is Wout van Aert. He's from Belgium, and he won in 3 hours, 50 minutes and 47 seconds. 2 minutes and 1 second behind him was Quentin Pache. He's from France, and he was in second position in stage 10. The general classification after stage 10 at the moment is Ben O'Connor of Australia comfortably leading. He's leading by 3 minutes and 53 seconds over Primoz Roglic of Slovenia. And in third position at the moment is Richard Carapaz. He's from Ecuador. He's 4 minutes and 32 seconds behind Ben O'Connor. The 11th stage of the Vuelta España will be 166 kilometers. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning this morning. Let's have a look at the highlights from the broadcast. South Africa's Johan Rupert overtakes Dangote as Africa's richest man. DRC prosecutors seek the death penalty for 50 defendants after coup attempt. And Elon Musk's Starlink gets local license in Botswana. DSTV 285, GoTV 25, 1up2.com is precisely where you can find us. There's still a day left in the week, so we'll definitely be here tomorrow making sure that you stay abreast of all the latest news stories stemming from the African continent and beyond. From me, Ashwin Berry, and the Africa Good Morning team, Swera Jakanaka.